Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation. I'm excited to take you on a journey through the desert, a fascinating world of extremes. This is a look at a unique and resilient ecosystem that surprises many. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore what makes deserts so special, the life that thrives there, and why they are vital to our planet. So let's get started and uncover the wonders of this incredible environment. Let's explore what is the desert. First, it's important to understand that the desert is a unique ecosystem. Just like the rainforest, it has its own distinct wildlife, plants, climate, and landscape that all work together to create a very special environment. Now, you might think of deserts as just hot, sandy places, but they are much more complex. They support plants and animals that have adapted in fascinating ways to survive harsh conditions. Many of you living in the Middle East are probably very familiar with the desert environment and the challenges it presents, like extreme temperatures and scarce water. These challenges shape everything about life there. Now for our practice question. What makes the desert a unique ecosystem? Think about its key features, such as the climate, which is often very dry and hot, and the types of plants that can survive with very little water. Understanding these features helps us appreciate how special and resilient desert ecosystems truly are, and how they fit into the larger picture of our environment. Let's explore where the world's deserts are located. First, you'll notice that deserts are found on all continents except Europe and Antarctica, so they are quite widespread across the globe. When we look at concentrated regions, deserts tend to cluster mainly in the Middle East and across the African continent. These areas are known for their vast, arid landscapes, which play a significant role in the climate and ecology of those regions. Now, some examples of the most famous deserts include the Arabian Desert and the Sahara Desert. These are iconic and well-known around the world, often associated with adventure, vastness, and extreme conditions. Finally, a quick practice question for you, true or false. Deserts are found on every continent in the world. The answer is false because, as we've discussed, they are not present in Europe or Antarctica. This highlights how deserts are distributed globally, but not uniformly. Now, let's talk about the desert climate and how it varies between day and night. During the daytime, the desert is usually very hot with clear, sunny skies. You can expect temperatures to often soar above 30 degrees Celsius, making it a scorching environment. The conditions during these hours are characterized by intense heat, bright sunshine, and very little cloud cover, which means the sun's rays are direct and powerful. But as the sun sets and night falls, the desert's climate changes quite dramatically. It can get surprisingly cold and windy during the late hours of the night. This sharp temperature drop is a key feature of desert environments. When it comes to rainfall, deserts are quite dry. Rain is infrequent and much less common than in rainforests. When rain does happen, it's usually seasonal, meaning it occurs during certain times of the year rather than regularly. And here's a quick practice question to test your understanding. During the day, desert temperatures can often soar above how many degrees Celsius? The answer is 30 degrees C. So remember, the desert is a place of extreme contrasts, hot days and surprisingly cold nights, making it a unique and challenging environment to study. The landscape of the desert is truly harsh and dry, which means there's very little naturally growing grass or trees. This kind of environment makes it tough for most plants to survive. When we look at natural water sources, you'll notice there are no lakes or rivers to speak of, which adds to the arid conditions. The soil itself is poor in nutrients, mainly because of the lack of rainfall and the fact that the soil doesn't hold moisture well. In the Sahara Desert, for example, the land is mostly covered with vast sand dunes and rocks, with only sparse patches of vegetation. This gives you a clear picture of how extreme and inhospitable the environment is. Now, here's a quick practice question. Which of these is not a reason for the sparse vegetation? The options are lack of rainfall, poor soil nutrients, too many rivers and lakes, and the harsh environment. The correct answer is C. There are not too many rivers and lakes. In fact, there are none. This helps us understand that water scarcity and poor soil are the main reasons why vegetation is so limited in deserts like the Sahara. Now, let's take a closer look at desert vegetation, specifically the master survivors that have adapted to these harsh conditions. Although vegetation is quite sparse in the desert, you'll notice that certain types of plants have developed unique adaptations to survive. These plants are limited in number, but incredibly resilient. One of the most common desert plants you'll find is the cactus. The cactus is a true desert pioneer, and its widespread presence across desert regions makes it a key example of adaptation. What makes the cactus so well suited to the desert environment? Well, its main survival strategy is water storage. The cactus stores water inside its thick, fleshy body, allowing it to endure long, dry spells when rain is scarce. This water reservoir is crucial for survival until the next rainfall. To connect this to our overall theme, the cactus exemplifies how desert plants have evolved specialized traits to thrive where other plants cannot. It's a perfect example of adaptation and resilience in the face of extreme conditions. And just to reinforce this point with a quick practice question, what is the most common type of desert plant, and how does it survive long, dry spells? The answer is, of course, the cactus, by storing water inside its body. Let's take a closer look at the cactus and see why it's often called a water tank. Internally, cacti are surprisingly soft, which actually helps them store water efficiently. This soft tissue acts like a reservoir, allowing the cactus to hold onto water for long periods, especially during droughts. On the outside, you'll notice a waxy layer covering the cactus. This isn't just for show. It's a vital protective barrier that shields the plant from the intense desert heat. Think of it as a sunscreen that keeps the plant's internal water from evaporating too quickly under the scorching sun. Now, regarding water usage, the cactus doesn't constantly drink like other plants. Instead, it slowly uses the stored water as needed, usually until the next rainfall comes. This slow, steady consumption helps the cactus survive in such a harsh environment. And here's a quick practice question: true or false? The waxy layer on a cactus helps it absorb more sunlight. The answer is false. That waxy coating actually helps reflect some of the sun's heat, protecting the cactus from overheating. It's a clever adaptation that contributes to the cactus's ability to thrive in extreme conditions. Let's talk about the camel, often called the ship of the desert. Camels are probably the most well-known desert animals, and for good reason. They are perfectly adapted to survive in extreme heat and harsh conditions that would be tough for most other animals. One of their key adaptations is how they handle heat. They sweat very little, which is a crucial advantage because it means they lose less water through evaporation. This low rate of sweating helps them stay hydrated longer, making water conservation essential in the arid desert environment. Another important aspect is how humans utilize camels. They have been widely used as a means of transportation, especially by Bedouin tribes, those nomadic peoples living in the desert. Camels are incredibly reliable for travel across vast, hot, and dry landscapes. Now, a quick practice question: how does a camel's low rate of sweating help it survive in the desert? The answer is simple but vital. By sweating very little, they reduce their need for water. This allows them to go longer without drinking, which is essential in their often water-scarce environment. Let's take a closer look at some of the fascinating reptiles and arachnids that inhabit desert environments. First, we have lizards. These creatures are commonly seen scurrying across desert sands. One of their most impressive adaptations is their ability to change color, which helps them blend into the sandy surroundings and avoid predators. This camouflage is a vital survival tool in such an open and exposed habitat. Moving on to snakes, another common desert resident. Among them, the rattlesnake is perhaps the most recognizable and well-known. Rattlesnakes are not only iconic, but also evoke a sense of caution due to their venomous bite. They play a crucial role in controlling rodent populations in the desert ecosystem. Next, let's talk about arachnids, specifically spiders and scorpions. These hardy creatures are perfectly suited to desert life. Scorpions, in particular, have a fascinating defense mechanism. They use their sharp tails to protect themselves from threats, but these tails are also essential tools for catching and killing prey. It's a great example of how a single feature can serve multiple survival functions. Now, to reinforce what we've learned, here's a practice question. Which desert animal uses its sharp tail for both defense and catching prey? Is it the camel, the lizard, the rattlesnake, or the scorpion? The correct answer is the scorpion. Their tail is incredibly versatile, making them formidable predators and well-defended creatures in the desert. Understanding these adaptations helps us appreciate the incredible diversity and resilience of desert wildlife, fitting seamlessly into the overall theme of survival in challenging environments. Let's take a look at some of the fascinating wildlife adaptations in desert environments, focusing on insects, arachnids, and birds. Starting with insects, locusts are a great example. They feed on plants and can gather in massive swarms that sweep across the desert, making them one of the most noticeable insect species in these harsh conditions. Honeypot ants are also interesting. They consume large amounts of sugar and store it within their bodies. They then share this stored food with other ants in their colony, ensuring everyone has enough to survive. Harvester ants have their own clever strategy. They store seeds and other food in the ground for future use, which helps them survive when resources are scarce. Moving on to arachnids, spiders and scorpions are remarkably well adapted to desert life. Scorpions, in particular, defend themselves with sharp tails, which they use to catch and kill prey efficiently in this tough environment. Now let's look at desert birds. Some species, like desert-dwelling birds, peck holes into cacti to create shelter. This behavior helps them stay cool and protected from the intense desert heat. And then there's the sand grouse, found in Asian and African deserts. This bird has a unique adaptation. Its special feathers can soak up water. It then carries this water back to its chicks, which is an incredible survival strategy in such a dry environment. Finally, to reinforce this point, remember the practice question. What unique adaptation does the sand grouse bird have? The answer is, its special feathers that soak up water and carry it back to its chicks. That's a perfect example of how animals adapt to thrive in the desert. Let's talk about human life in the desert, starting with who the nomads are. Nomads are people who live in the desert and move from one place to another quite frequently. They do this to follow water sources and adapt to seasonal changes, which are crucial for their survival. Now, many of these nomads work as sheep herders. They travel across the vast desert landscape with their herds, searching for grazing land and water for their animals. This lifestyle is all about flexibility and resourcefulness, making sure they can sustain their herds in such a challenging environment. When it comes to shelter, nomads set up tents made from camel skin. These tents are specially designed to protect them from the harsh desert winds and the dangerous sandstorms that often occur. Their shelters are portable and sturdy, allowing them to move quickly and set up again as needed. And remember, a key point is that people who move frequently from one place to another in the desert are called nomads. This mobility is essential for their way of life and survival in such a harsh environment. Let's talk about desert safety for tourists. One of the most important things to be aware of is health risks. Without taking proper precautions, you could face dehydration, heat exhaustion, or even sunstroke. These are serious conditions that can happen quickly in the desert's extreme heat. Now, to protect yourself, using sunscreen is essential. It helps shield your skin from the intense UV rays that can cause burns and long-term damage. Remember, applying sunscreen regularly is a simple but critical step. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day is equally important. Staying hydrated helps your body regulate its temperature and prevents dehydration, which can be dangerous in a desert environment. Always carry enough water and drink frequently. Wearing light clothing is another key safety measure. Opt for loose, light-colored clothes and a wide-brimmed hat. This kind of clothing helps keep you cool and protects your skin from direct sunlight. And finally, never travel alone in the desert. Always go with a guide who knows the area well. They can help you navigate safely and provide assistance if needed. To wrap up, a quick practice question. Can you tell me 3 essential safety precautions? That's right. Using sunscreen, drinking plenty of water, wearing light-colored, loose clothing and a hat, and traveling with a guide. These steps are vital to enjoying your desert adventure safely. So, in this final review, let's reflect on what we've explored about the desert. We looked at its incredibly extreme climate, with those drastic temperature swings that can happen between day and night. We also examined how the landscape is harsh and dry, making survival a real challenge. But what's truly fascinating is how plants like cacti and animals such as camels, lizards, scorpions, and sandgrouse have developed incredible adaptations. These adaptations help them survive and even thrive despite the tough conditions. Understanding these strategies highlights how life can adapt to even the most extreme environments on Earth. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final challenge. Think about what you've learned about desert survival and identify the one most important thing that stood out to you. What's the key insight that can help us better understand resilience in harsh environments? Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I really appreciate you exploring the desert ecosystem with us today. It's been great sharing insights into this unique environment and its incredible adaptations. Remember, the desert may seem harsh, but it's full of life and resilience. Thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to your questions or thoughts.